Hello, everybody. Welcome. This is the August edition of Builder Blab. I hope that you're ready to take some notes and learn some new stuff about search engine optimization. Thanks, Lori. I see your comment. That's awesome. So it's a small group. There's just a couple of us today. So if you have a webcam and you want me to promote you to panelist where we can actually talk on video, just message me and I can do that. Or you guys can just look at me and listen to me as I go over some stuff with you. I really want to set this up where it is Q&A. So I want to answer questions that you have about search engine optimization and promoting your website, getting it out there, getting it found in Google. I have a number of questions that people emailed me and asked me. So, I can go through those to kind of get us started. And then as you hear stuff, if something you think of or comes to you, feel free. You can do the chat and I can see those. And you can just chat to everyone or you can just chat to me. That's one way to ask your questions. So probably the best way. There's also Q&A, and I believe you can submit questions using the Q&A tab along the bottom as well. All right. So search engine optimization is tricky because it changes all the time. And it's something that we do at Meredith Communications on a daily basis. I've already done 2 calls this morning with clients going over their monthly results. So it's something that we live, eat, and breathe here. And so I thought it'd be interesting to answer questions about it. And it's also probably the #1 thing that our clients struggle with. So that was another reason I chose it for this month. They struggle with it because they don't see results fast enough. They struggle with it because it's not the most inexpensive form of digital marketing. They struggle trying to understand the value or the results. So it's a challenge. So that's why I thought this would be a good topic for us to go over. All right, I'm going to start really, really basic because I don't necessarily know the level of knowledge on everybody here. If for some reason this is too basic, don't worry. We're going to get way more advanced. Just give me a minute. But when I say search engine optimization, let's just make sure we all know what I'm talking about. When you do a Google search, let's say you're going to search for a flat screen television and you type in new flat screen television, maybe you're even more specific than that. Maybe you have a brand name in mind or a size, 40-inch Sony flat screen television. And if you were to type that into Google search, when the search results come up, typically you're going to see 2 to 3 types of search results. At the very top of the page will be the paid search results. Those are the ones that have the little ad right next, the word ad. It's currently in a bright yellow box right next to their listing on the Google search results. So those are the paid ads. I'll probably do a whole nother Builder Blab on paid ads because they're great, very effective, but there are some tricks to it. That's not what we're talking about today though. The very next section of results on the Google screen would be the map results. That's also called Google Local or Google Places. Oh, thanks, Will. He's saying it's actually green. It was yellow just like yesterday. They change stuff all the time. This is why it's frustrating. Thank you, Will. So it'll say ad right next to them, though, is the point. So you can tell those are ads. So then the next section is Google Local results or Google Map results. A lot of times those don't show on every single search. Just depends on the search, the type of search you're doing. And then after that, you'll see the Google organic search results. And that's what we're talking about today. When you optimize a website, when you do search engine optimization, you are optimizing a site to show up as high in the Google organic search results as possible. If you continue on down the page, sometimes there are also paid search ads at the very bottom of the page as well. And you'll notice that there used to be paid search ads all the way down the right side of the page, and those have gone away. And so now the paid ads are either at the top or the bottom, and that's it. And then the local and the organic are in the middle. All right, so why do you want to optimize? Well, if it's important to you for your company, your brand, your product, services to be found in Google search, then you've got to optimize, or you have to be willing to pay to play. So these are where you get to make choices. So you get to decide, do I just want to do paid search? Again, nothing wrong with that. I find them very highly effective if they're done correctly. But understand, every time somebody clicks on one of those ads, you pay. Every click, you pay for that click. Whereas Google organic search results, what happens is you generally pay a website agency or an expert on SEO to optimize you. So you do pay something, but you don't pay it to Google, and you don't pay per click. And the goal is over time to develop such a great presence in the organic search results that no matter how they search, whether they search for your company, your industry, your product category, your specific product name, you are just blanketing those results, and you're everywhere. You're being found everywhere. The latest stats on search say that most people, 60 to 70% use search, specifically Google, to find products and services they're looking for. So it's one of your big opportunities. And another way that I tend to look at it is, what are your other options? You've got social media, absolutely an excellent option to get your name out there and get yourself, your company out there and to be found. You've got traditional methods of advertising, which are dwindling in effectiveness. They're typically fairly expensive. But if you can afford to do television, if you can afford to do radio, those are still very effective things to do, but they're expensive. Direct mail, signage, print ads, all of those other things are options, and maybe good options. Completely depends on your company, what you do, what you sell. They may be okay options, but again, they're not going to be as reliable. So the search engine optimization is what I consider to be one of your core fundamental things you have to do to get the name of your business and to get it out there. Okay? All right, so that kind of gets us a couple of basics, because I just wanted to set the table and make sure we were all on the same page, and I didn't want to leave anybody behind. All right, so some specific questions I get about SEO all the time from our clients. One of them, let's tackle a big one first. Why are my search results, why isn't my website on page 1? Why am I on page 2? Why am I on page 3? Why am I on page 15? And we've been doing this for 6 months and it's not moving, and I want to know why. Okay. Is anybody else interested in this question? Okay. Typically, when I look at a site, if a site is not moving, I'm going to break down for you several possible diagnoses. Number 1, the site does not have enough content that is relevant to the search term you're trying to be found for. So if this is Builder Blab, so we're going to gear our examples to home builders today. If you are a home builder and you're wanting to be found for new homes in Lubbock, Texas, then you need content on your website that is about and relevant to new homes in Lubbock, Texas. Okay? So a lack of content that supports and is relevant to the keyword phrase is a big issue. So let's say you're a home builder and you're building in multiple markets, and there's one particular market that you're really wanting to get on page 1 for, but you only have one community in that market. So there's basically one community page that is new homes in Memphis, Tennessee. Well, that's going to be a challenge because you've basically got one page of content relevant to that keyword. Why then are you ranking so well for new homes in Knoxville, Tennessee? Well, because you have 10 communities over there. So you've got 10 times the content to that keyword. So I hope that helps you, okay? So lack of content, number one. Number two, site structure and technical coding backend of the website itself. We have absolutely found that Google likes some websites, the coding, the structure, the language better than others, particularly in the home builder space where the websites are so data driven. So we've been converting most of our sites to WordPress-based sites using PHP, and we've found that it is much, much more friendly and that Google seems to like it. It reduces the number of what we call crawl errors. And that's number three. When I look at a site, I see why isn't the site ranking? The third thing I look at is crawl errors. I can run a report using software we have and see how many crawl errors there are. A crawl error is when Google tries to look at your site and it can't access a page correctly. Or when it tries to access a page, it can't index the page for some reason. The higher number of crawl errors you have, the worse your rankings will be. So we want to get those crawl errors down to a manageable, small, if not zero number. And a lot of that is purely technical stuff that you as a DIY really can't manage, but your SEO people or your webmaster need to be on top of that. Like I said, a crawl error happens when, for example, let's say you're a home builder and you have a community and you have 5 inventory homes in that community. And then those 5 inventory homes sell. Well, what happens is those pages come off the website, right? You remove them because the houses have sold. Well, if that link is still out there in Google and Google's trying to index that page, then it's going to be a crawl error. So having what's called redirects in place so that anytime you move a page or remove it, Google can be redirected is important, okay? So that's a big issue there. The last one, why a site isn't ranking or isn't moving, I would say would also be the use of keywords. Now, this is a controversial thing in the world of SEO for sure. And you will get many different opinions on this topic. So I'm going to give you mine. And if you disagree, that's okay. You won't be the first. But as somebody who meets with 20 to 25 clients on a monthly basis and reviews their SEO reports and is accountable for results, this is my experience. You really must still use keywords in your text in order for Google to index you properly and to rank you. Now, in the old days, we used to use keywords everywhere and we'd put them all over the page to the point that the page was nearly unreadable and confusing to the visitor. And that is not what I'm suggesting at all. What I am suggesting is that you select one keyword phrase per page and you integrate that phrase 1 to 2 times maximum into the text in a very natural and conversational way. You can also use that keyword in the title of the page. It's called the H1, the title of the page, and then on the back end in the title tag, what's called the title tag, and that's something that is edited in the back end of a website. So I find those keywords to still be important. Like I said, you could find 5 other gurus that will tell you that's not how they do it, but it's how we do it and it works. And I could prove it because every time I have a client come along and say, no, that's dated, we want those keywords out, we strip them all out and the site plummets every single time. So those are typically the top things I would immediately look at if you're not getting the results you want. Okay, I've had a question come in. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that very much. Can the rest of you please ask a question? This is live Q&A, so I would love to answer your questions. Lori asked, how do you know what key phrases people are Googling? Great question. Lori, Google has a keyword search tool that you can use for free. So if you just simply Google that, the Google keyword tool, it's part of their Google AdWords or their paid search marketing suite of tools. But you don't have to actually pay them or start the account, but there is a keyword tool in there that you could use. And what you do is you put in the keyword term that you are interested in, and it will then tell you, hey, 5 people searched that last month, wah, wah, right? Or it'll tell you 500 people searched that last month. And that's really an important factor when you're trying to decide what keywords you want to focus on. Please understand that just because it's the way you search does not mean it's the way the majority of people or the trend goes, okay? So I say this all the time, just because we don't all click the same way. Just because you click that way doesn't mean somebody else does. So really you want to dig into those terms. Now the key thing about your search terms that you settle on is, again, relevance. Because again, I cannot say this enough today, your content is going to drive whether Google finds you relevant. So let's say, Lori, for example, you decided you wanted to get a bunch of traffic to your website, so you were going to optimize for Britney Spears video. You were going to do something crazy, right? The problem is, unless you want to put a bunch of content about Britney Spears' latest music video on your website to support that phrase, it will never rank for it. So you have to be very practical. SEO is a very practical art and science, if you will. You have to look at what do we really have content to support, and then based on that, what keywords should we try for? It would be awesome if, let's go back to a home builder example, if you could optimize for best home builder in North Carolina, right? I'm in Raleigh. Let's say you were in multiple markets throughout North Carolina. Best home builder in North Carolina. But your individual pages talk about your homes in the Raleigh market, in the Cary market, in the Durham market, in Greensboro. And you don't really talk about North Carolina, it's never going to rank. So the keywords you're looking for, what has traffic, because I don't want to spend my time on something that has no traffic. And 2, what can I support in my content? So I hope that helps you. All right, we've got a couple more questions that have come in. Thank you very much. Will, I see Will on Twitter all the time. I love how you're always asking me stuff and liking my tweets and stuff. I appreciate that. Will is asking me, how do you deal with not provided data? Oh, bummer. Will, my understanding is that not provided data is data that Google started encrypting at some point and kind of hiding from us, if you will. There's another term you'll see in there called not set. It'll either say not provided or not set. And unfortunately, it's just, they're not going to tell us. It didn't, well, one of 2 things. Google encrypted it, and so we can't get it anymore. Or number 2, when the tracker within Google Analytics brought that information over and logged it, it didn't catch. It didn't catch the referring source, or it didn't catch the type of mobile device or what have you. So it's just not provided. If you have a different understanding or whatever, feel free to put it in and share it with everybody. Okay? Okay. Okay, here's Lori. Lori's got a great question. What is a good number? 100 plus? Oops, I did it again. Nice Britney Spears reference there, Lori. Is there anywhere we can put our content in a search and see what SEO comes up? Oh, yeah. Great questions. Lori, for your size business, 100 searches would be plenty. It'd be great. You're an entrepreneur type of business, consultant, speaker. If you were a home builder, I don't think that would be enough unless you were a small size, let's say custom home builder, and you're building 8 $2 million homes a year. Well, 100 people searching custom home builder in Lakeville, Minnesota would be awesome. So I kind of go by the size of the company and the amount of traffic they're needing to generate in order to equate out to appointments and sales. So I look at that in that range. Is there anywhere we can put our content in a search and see, oh yeah, one of my favorite things to do is simply open up a Google search, start typing in your search term, and let Google do the autofill where it starts filling out the rest of the phrase. Because you've done that, right? What happens is it starts telling you how most people type it in. And that is also a very good indicator. If you're typing in something and it's not autofilling and completing the rest of the phrase, then you're searching for it differently than the majority of everybody else, or you're the only one who cares. So you've really got to look at that and figure out, okay, so that's a good way to play with it for sure. And then of course you can Google things and just see who comes up, see what other content comes up. This also leads me to the tip of really looking at your competitors, okay? You could do a competitive analysis. How are they optimized? What are they optimized for? Are they optimized at all? Now, don't assume just because they've been optimized and you can see keywords that it's done correctly, but you can still take an inventory. And if there's another company that you compete with that you know is doing well and that you know is where you want to be in terms of sales, it's interesting to take a look at what they've done. Okay, somebody else asked me a question. I've got some more here that came in from some other folks. I can use one of those, or please feel free to ask away. Okay. One of the ones that I was emailed ahead of time was about blogs and blogging. And how does a blog help with your SEO? And if so, how do you do that? So yes, blogging is really important to your SEO. And it really will help you because we get back to that content and that relevance concept. So how do you do that? Okay, the more often you blog, the better. I know, I hate to break it to you, but it's true. The more often you blog, definitely the better. If you could possibly each post come up with 300 words to 350 words, that's kind of the general rule of thumb. And this is true for both your blog posts as well as your website pages. If you can, on a website page or a blog, come up with those 350 words, that's fantastic. Now, there are some times on a page of a website that it's just simply going to push your content down too far, and it's going to make your content not as accessible to your viewers. And whenever it comes down between usability and SEO, I always lean towards usability. Because if your visitors do not have a good experience, then you're not going to get a phone call. You're not going to get an email. You're not going to get the, the sale on that. But if you have the opportunity to work it in without affecting their user experience, then it's a win-win. And that's where a blog comes in. Because a blog gives your website a lot of extra content without cluttering up pages where you need to have beautiful photos of your products or your services. So blogs are important. Do as many as you can, as often as you can, but be realistic about it. I mean, most of us are not going to be able to blog every single day. Just not going to happen. But if you could get out one a week consistently, but whatever it is you decide, just pick something that's realistic for you, be consistent, try to get at least 300 to 350 words in the blog, use a keyword phrase in the blog, and then once you write it, use your social media to push it out to the world and let people know, hey, come to my blog. I've got a new thing posted. Okay, Will's got a question. Thank you very much. What are some of your go-to SEO tools? Great question. My favorite tool, I feel like I have lipstick here. Sorry, guys. My favorite tool is Moz, M-O-Z. We use Moz all the time. It is our main thing. Of course, we use Google Webmaster Tools. It's Google Webmaster Tools. But I find it to be fairly technical and not very client-friendly. It's something that we use ourselves, but Moz is a product we pay for. But at your level where you're only supporting, one business, it wouldn't be very expensive. And you could use it, and it gives you a ton of information. It basically takes all your information in Google Analytics, in Google Webmaster Tools, and puts it in a much more friendly looking dashboard where you can see rankings for the phrases that you're tracking. You can see crawl errors. I look at that report almost daily for everybody, making sure nothing's gone crazy overnight. So there's a lot of, it has a keyword search tool, Lori, that we really like. So that's the one we use for our agency to manage our client accounts. Okay, you said Will made a comment about Search Console. Is that the name of a particular product or something in Google Webmaster Tools that you use? Or, I don't know, write in and tell us so you can know. Oh, it's been rebranded as Search Console. Okay, you see. I use all the old names because I've been doing this too long. Thank you for the link. All right. Another really good tool that I hear good things about, that I don't particularly use it, but I always, I hear good stuff is, I think it's SEO Rush. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right. So there's a lot of ones out there, but that's basically what we rely on. SEM. Yeah, thanks. SEM Rush. Perfect. SEM Rush. So that's a good one. There's plenty of them out there. If you're using one and you're listening in, write in and give us the name of the tool that you like. But those are the ones we like that we use all the time. All right. Social media. Yeah. So how does social media interact with your search engine optimization? Great question. There are varying opinions on this one, kind of like keywords. So you ask one guru and they're going to tell you it doesn't really have an impact. You ask another guru and they'll tell you it does. So it's kind of something that we constantly argue about within the industry. Here's my take. I believe that if you are putting your content, like your blog posts, your videos, your photo albums, if you're putting those out on your social media sites with the purpose of linking people over to your website to learn more or see more or find out more, then it absolutely can have an impact on your search engine rankings, because part of Google's algorithm is how much traffic do you have? And they look at that. And so for a particular page, let's say for a home builder, it's your communities page where you have all of your communities listed on one page. That particular page, if you want it to rank itself, because the idea is to get as many pages of your website ranking as possible, right? You need traffic directly to that page. The more traffic that page has, the better it's going to rank. So if you're posting on social media, come out this weekend and see our variety of our homes and communities, and you link right over to that page, you're providing traffic from a highly trafficked, popular site, a link over to your site. That's going to help you in terms of the SEO. It's not as direct as optimizing on page your own website, but it's definitely going to have an impact. Okay? Great question. Okay, I get asked a lot by our clients, how do I know if this is working? I've been Googling our new homes in Kalamazoo, Michigan every single day, and we're not on page 1 yet. So how do I know if this is working? I get that a lot. So let's talk about that. There are several ways to measure how SEO or if SEO is working for you. The most obvious one is your rankings, okay? However, let me caution you with that. I have seen significant increases in traffic to a website and leads long before a client hit page 1. I know, people argue with me about this all the time. All I can tell you is I'm the one reading the reports and reviewing them. And I personally do that with our clients. So I don't even assign it to anybody else. I'm doing it. And I'm telling you, I have seen the Google organic traffic line item as a source of traffic to a website increase by hundreds and thousands of visits without even having page 1 yet. So yes, the goal is always to get a page 1 ranking. However, a top of page 2 is not bad, and you will get more traffic, leads, and potentially sales with a top of page 2. Now, I know people don't go much further than that, and you don't want to be buried on page 5. That's not helpful. But if you were to get 10 phrases ranking with a top of page 2 and a couple on page 1, you would still see a significant increase in your traffic. So how you're ranking is one way, but the second way is your Google organic traffic going up? And if it is, then it's working, because how else would the Google organic traffic be going up if you weren't being found more often when people were conducting searches? So those are 2 definite ways to track it. I also find that when our clients run any kind of broadcast, TV or radio, their Google organic always goes up, always. So again, I know those are big budget items, but if you have the budget for those, if you run that in conjunction with SEO, the 2 things work very nicely together. Because what happens is somebody catches a radio commercial while they're in their car, or a TV commercial when they're kind of half paying attention, because we all now sit with our tablets and our phones and watch TV at the same time, right? So you kind of half catch it. So then you have to go search by Google, like, what was that? So you want to be able to be found even if you're doing the broadcast. But the 2 things really work together, and that'll cause a definite increase in the Google organic traffic. Yeah. All right. Oh, this is a good one. Is SEO for every website, for every company, for every person? And I will absolutely say no. We have clients that have completely, utterly, miserably failed at SEO. And it was a learning experience for all of us. What do you mean, Meredith? They failed? Are you admitting you didn't know what you were doing? Nope, not at all. In fact, what I've learned over time is, because content is so important to the site, there are just some types of businesses, or some businesses in general, that are not able to produce content on a regular basis. And in those cases, the SEO just really doesn't work for them. In those cases, much better off going with the paid search marketing, the Google AdWords at the top. And then the beauty is, you don't have to make Google happy. You don't have to match their algorithm. You don't have to have keywords. You just have to have a credit card. So if it's a really small business, as I've also found, another criteria is super, super niched businesses. We've been supporting a particular client that is a senior living community in a very small geographic market, and it's a religious-based institution. So they are marketing to seniors who need assistance, or at the stage of their life where they're not independent anymore, they need assistance. So niche, in a small niche geographic market, and it's a religious-based establishment. Whoa, it's quadruple niched. There's just very little search traffic for them. So even though they're ranking very well on page 1 and they ranked quickly, there's just not that many people looking for them through search. And in that case, it's actually been, we've transitioned them to paid search. So they only have to pay if somebody clicks. So the people who are looking can find them, and then they're happy to pay for that click. But why pay a monthly optimization fee for the amount of traffic that's really out there and available? So no, not every business is a candidate for SEO for a variety of reasons. And if you're going to work with a company, you should just look for someone who's candid enough to tell you that up front, and not just promise you, oh yeah, page 1, no problem, thousands of visits, no problem, your cash register will be ringing, no problem. Because that is not always the case in my experience. Okay, Will has written in. You're welcome, Lori. Talk to you later. Will has written in, Mozcast and Search Engine Journal are reporting a likely algorithm update in June. Have any of your clients felt the effect? How closely do you advise clients to keep up to date on changes? Okay, one of the new features in our Moz dashboard that I love is we've always had a timeline where we can see rankings going up and down on like a line graph across like a month calendar or whatever date range you set. But now they've added in pinpoints on the timeline where they believe there's been a Google algorithm update. And it'll say either minor or major. This has been very eye-opening as somebody that tracks this every day, because within a month, I'm typically, now that I've got this data, I'll see 2 or 3 minor updates a month, and then every couple of months, a major update marked on the timeline. And the way, Will, that when I'm doing this with clients, I don't advise them to keep up with it. That's really what they're paying me for. But when we're doing our Zoom meeting every month and we're in Moz and we're going through reports, I do show them that particular graph, because I think it helps them to visualize that, hey, these things do change. This is why you pay for it on an ongoing basis. And this is why we're always in there tweaking and changing up our processes. And if something we're doing is not working, then, we'll change it. If it's a major update, back we had penguin and panda and, I forgot all the animals we went through were the name of the Google changes. If it's something really, really major, then I will advise them of that in our monthly call. And I will tell them, hey, this has happened. And as a result, here's the steps we're already taking on your behalf. So that's how I do it. If you have other advice, I'm totally open to it and interested in it for sure. Yeah. But it does change. Most of it's fairly minor. If you're doing what we call white hat practices and you're really focused on usability, on your users, on content and relevance, then you shouldn't get tripped up in any of the Google algorithm updates, because you're really doing things the correct way. But occasionally, hey, something you're doing needs to change, or, you get a signal from Google they're looking for something different, and we make that adjustment. I'm going to do one last question, and then if anybody else has anything else, you can write in. Let me check my Q&A. I saw a couple come in this way. Okay, here's a question Laura asks. We are switching to a new website and platform. We were high in organic rankings with current site. I'm copying a lot of content over to the new site. Are we going to take a hit? Okay, great question. Basically, you will initially, once that new site launches, probably for possibly 3 to 4 weeks after it launches, while Google gets the whole new site indexed, your rankings could possibly come down. But with a new site that's hopefully built with the latest and greatest code that's making Google happy, you should resume back to where you were, if not better, in a very short amount of time. But you might see a dip. Now, one very important thing that you need to plan in your transition, If any of your site has been optimized in the back end, I'm not talking about content on the front end, more in the administration, specifically the title tag of each page, the alt tags, A-L-T, alt tags, which are the tags that can go on images on a page that can be optimized. Any of that optimization work that's been done on the old one needs to get transferred over to every single page on the new site before it launches. If you launch it without that, what's called metadata, if you launch without it, you're going to go down and you're going to stay down. So moving content over as is, not a problem. As soon as Google crawls it and indexes it, it'll be fine. It's more about the metadata. If you've been ranking without that, yay for you. That's awesome. Then it might not be a problem. But and if you want to send me, more information or want me to take a look around, I'm happy to help. So let me know. Next question, does it matter what I label as the file name of images on my site? Okay, so are we talking about, again, the file name, like the name of the image that you just store it in your media gallery, or are we talking about the alt tag? It matters what the alt tag is, yes, if you optimize for that. So if you optimize for home builders in Raleigh, for a photo of a group of people at an event on your website, that would be a positive for your SEO. What you actually name it in your file manager of the website in the photo gallery shouldn't matter. Shouldn't matter. Okay? All right. Okay, of image gallery. Yeah, no, that's not important. That's more important how you name them there, just so you can find them later for your own ease of use as you administer your own website. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Did I miss anybody else? I hope I was helpful today. This is a complicated topic. It is not an easy one. But like I said, it's something we do. I love it. I love the challenge of it. I love trying to get somebody as high as possible and pulling up their, doing a search and seeing them right there. It's kind of exciting. I'm geeky that way. So it's fun, but it's complicated. If you have specific questions, I'm happy to answer them. Best way to always get me is an email, and I can email right back to you and try to answer and troubleshoot anything that you have. So that's it. That's it for this month's Build or Blab. I'll talk to you next month. Thanks, everybody.